Hey there everyone, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my Orchid Adventures with me, Maria Young. Okay folks, so today what I wanted to do is give you a sneak peek into some of the things that have been going on in my garden. As you guys know, the end of the year is here and we definitely have to start planning for the new year. And of course, I have so many plans that are in progress and definitely want to show you what I've been doing and the intentions I have to create an even better orchid paradise for the year 2016. Okay, so the way that my garden was originally set up, being that I am quite the plant lover, I had so many different varieties of plants, but of course there was no real formula, there was no format, no rhythm, no pattern. And you know what? I was actually fighting against myself, and there wasn't really functionality involved in my garden at all. And to be quite honest with you, my garden was really quite a clutter. I mean, just plants here, there, and everywhere. And indeed, it really made for such a hard time to take care of my orchid. The whole focus right now in creating an even better functional orchid paradise for next year is definitely to get rid of some of the clutter, some of the madness, and stop working against myself. Definitely have an orchid growth space that works just for orchids and makes things easier just for me. Okay, so if you guys can remember, right here, situated right in the center of my entranceway, was my sitting area, and I had a table and two chairs that really blocked this entranceway, and I really had to squeeze in there and walk around and maneuver myself to get into my garden, where in some cases I would actually trip over the chairs and the table. So yeah, that wasn't functional, and that definitely was not easy going. So I went ahead and removed that sitting area, and we moved it to another place. And if you guys can remember, right here when I came into this area, there was that shelf unit right there, just blocking the way. And it was right here to where you could not get past that area where that shelf was. And if you guys can remember, in this area right here, we had so many different plants and shrubbery all throughout here where you could not even walk into that area at all. So basically that area was closed off and you could not function or do anything back there. So it was really wasted space. And then again, even over here was not functional either. You could not get back here, you could not enjoy this entire tree, and you definitely could not get around it. So that is the difference with decluttering your space. So now that that shelf unit is pushed all the way to the back, now you can definitely have all of this space that you can utilize to walk through this area and indeed enjoy this entire tree. Now also before, as you guys know, I have this trellis right here that I use to display my orchids and to also get them off the ground and just be better capable of getting to my orchids and caring for them. But because that shelf unit was right there, I could not even utilize this entire trellis area. But now it's gone, I definitely can, and this trellis can be utilized exactly what I put it in here for. Fully functional now, and definitely I have a better space and a better way to accommodate my orchids. And also, now that that shelf unit was pushed back, what I was capable of doing is clearing out this entire area right here, and I was able to go ahead and put my little seating area there. And right here, I'm going to remove this as well. I just had a tedious task trying to remove that. Those roots go really deep, so unsuccessful right now, but hubby dear will help me out, so that's going to be out of here as well. And what I've done here, folks, is I cleared this entire area, and I'm planning on putting some shelf units or perhaps some sort of chicken wire or some sort of fencing unit that I can put there, and I can attach my plants onto that as well. So now you're going to have this area right here functional where I can display my orchids and I can also take care of them here as well. Now, as you guys can see, this is cleared out. So we don't have any more bushes or any tall growing plants. So what I have to do also is plant those plants in there in the springtime and have them grow up so we can definitely have some form of canopy that's going to protect some of these orchids here as well. So that is one of our plans, is to go ahead and put the tall growing plants. And here you guys can see my bulbs and also some rhizomes from some lilies right there, because I'm going to use them again. Even though I pulled majority of my plants up and I'm not going to be using them in certain places, I do have intentions of still incorporating these wonderful tropical looking plants and still having them there along with my orchids, definitely enhancing the view. And folks, this is basically the remnant of all of the different plants that were in my garden that I have removed. So as you can see, it's been such a tedious task, but indeed I am on a mission, and this woman is all about her business. And with the removal of all of these plants, you are definitely seeing that space clearing up, and you definitely can see how functional and how smooth this should all play out. And what we've also done, folks, is we removed this little pathway of all sorts of plants as well. It was so ridiculous. I could not even get back here, folks. So to see a clearing is quite unusual for me, but oh my, it just makes things so much easier. And look here, folks, look here. Now that I have more space, I can definitely spread out my plants even more. So now they're not centralized in one area, and as you guys know, it got really cluttered. I'm talking about so cluttered where orchids were on top of each other practically, and I was simply ducking and dodging just to simply avoid getting sucker punched by one of my vandas. Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous, folks, and should not happen, and I guarantee you will not happen again, especially with what I've been doing now. And here we go, folks. Let's go ahead and take a merry walk around my tree. Oh yeah, so easy, so functional. I am totally loving this. That's right, folks. Oh my, this has made it so easy for me to totally, completely use my tree, enjoy it, and definitely have a better way, easy access to taking care of my orchids. I totally love it thus far. So indeed, so far, so good. And folks, now that I'm capable of fully utilizing this tree and of course fully enjoying it as well, I have been fully inspired to deck the orchid tree with bromeliads. And indeed, folks, I have done just that, just to give it more of a jungle-like appeal. And my hopes here, folks, is when this really starts growing out and creating its pups, indeed, we will have such a tropical-looking jungle right here. Indeed, what a great way to display your air plants and your tillandsias. And folks, it is just that easy. Voila! And indeed, folks, that is one of our other plans, is to incorporate all sorts of air plants and other tropical plants within this tree, just to make it that much more tropically delicious. Yum, yum. And on the other side, folks, because I definitely want to make this entire garden functional, if you guys remember right here, it was so atrocious with all of my Radican orchids just spread through here, and it was so atrocious, it was an actual divider right here. You couldn't get to the other side without actually exiting and then coming right back in. So it definitely interrupted the flow of this garden. And as you can see, I removed all of those crazy radicans and I actually moved them over here. Now these aren't going to be their permanent spots, but of course I have so much work to do, so as of right now that's where they're at. But I just wanted to show you what I started doing here is I also started clearing out this area as well, and I'm going to have all of my plants again pushed to the back, and I'm going to also have taller plants in the back as well to provide that shade and that canopy or that filtered light, so they're not going to get direct sunlight. But again, that is definitely our intentions, and I want to show you how crazy my radicans were. Now this radican right here, you see all of those crazy roots? Yeah, it is not in a pot, and the reason why it's not in a pot, because it was so humunga dunga that it broke the pot, literally. And let's take a look at it. This whopper of a plant actually stands at about 4 feet tall, and it was just growing like wildfire. As you can see, it's being cascaded onto other plants just to try to prop and hold them up until I get them situated permanently. But yeah, that was so atrocious, and I'm so glad it was removed from this area, and now I can fully utilize that space as well. Voila, just less clutter. And again, I'm not done, so it's gonna look even a lot clearer than what it is now. But as you can see, this is an entire garden with the actual orchid tree being the center focus, but there's no blocking where it's not fluid, and it definitely was different spaces. Now it's just one space with this being the central focus. And here we go, folks, around our orchid tree again. She'll be coming around the orchid tree when she comes. Woo, woo! She'll be coming around the orchid tree when she comes. Woo, woo! And I tell you, oh my gosh, this is so much fun to have all of this clear space and so many ideas on what I'm gonna do. Oh, you guys definitely have to stay tuned, because next year is gonna be so much greater. Claimed and proclaimed, folks, no lie. And there you have it, folks. That is indeed my plan to create more of a tropical orchid paradise. And although, folks, this might not be the highest peak of our orchid growing season, and things may have slowed down considerably, please understand this, folks, it is still quite an exciting time of the year, because right now is the time we begin to plan for next season's growth in our orchids. And indeed, let us start planning and let us be merry. Wishing all of you a happy, prosperous growing season. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my Orchid Adventures with me, Maria Young. And if you guys like this video, please be sure to give it 2 green thumbs up. And if you guys want to stay tuned for my latest and greatest adventures in my orchid paradise, please be sure to subscribe. And if you guys want to join me also on my Facebook adventures, please be sure to do that as well at My Orchid Adventures. And also, if you guys want to contact me via snail mail, hey, you guys can do that as well. And you can do that by the address provided right here. Again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another orchid adventure with me. And of course, you guys already know I love you all. Mwah!